news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Just in response to so much of the hysteria that surrounds every move that Trump makes, I take note of Pete Hegseth down in Panama this week.
Yeah.
Since this was one of the what is he doing? We're going to war with Panama. We're going to war with Greenland. We're going to war with Canada. This and that. And at the end of the day, less than 100 days in, after he raises the issue of Chinese Communist Party influence in our hemisphere, and with respect to the Panama Canal specifically, just 80 days in, what do we get? Our Secretary of Defense in Panama offering this.
Did not build this canal. China does not operate this canal. And China will not weaponize this canal. Together with Panama in the lead, we will keep the canal secure and available for all nations through the deterrent power of the strongest, most effective, and most lethal fighting force in the world. We will do this in partnership with Panama. Together, we will take back the Panama Canal from China's influence.
Mm-hmm. With Panama taking the lead. Crisis averted. And the consistent thread through all of those matters I mentioned, Panama, Greenland, Canada, and tariffs, the consistent thread is trying to reduce the influence of the Chinese Communist Party, starting in our hemisphere and radiating it out to the rest of the globe. For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Roger Kimball, editor of the new Criterion. Roger, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. Lovely to be with you.
And so, just your reaction to Trump's, generally speaking, laser focus on the Chinese Communist Party in his first 80 days. And in some of what perhaps from your perspective, many on the left, certainly, and perhaps even some in the middle don't seem to appreciate.
Yeah. Well, I think it is laser-like in its focus and power, but it's actually, I would say, a kind of a multi-reentry vehicle because although Trump campaigned prominently on tariffs and pride of place must go to China in his kind of list of bad actors when it comes to tariffs, we have to remember that he's been doing a lot of other things. The ink was barely dry on his inauguration speech before he essentially outlawed DEI in the federal government. That's huge. It's an ongoing process because it was an insidious effort to politicize the activity of the federal government, and rolling it back is a complicated process. But it is underway, and I believe it will happen. Then there's things like doing things like defanging and basically getting rid of the Department of Education. Republican presidents have talked about doing that since Ronald Reagan, since right after the department was created by Jimmy Carter, but only Donald Trump has actually done it. It occurs to me that one of the big differences between Donald Trump and other politicians is politicians are in a rhetoric game. They get up there and they say things when they're campaigning. They say things that they think people will like. We will take back the Panama Canal. We will impose tariffs on those countries that have already imposed tariffs or other trade barriers on us. But then when it comes down to it, when they're elected, there's always reasons why you can't do it. I mean, another example from Trump's first term is moving our embassy in Israel to Jerusalem. People have been talking about doing that since, I think, Bill Clinton, maybe before. But they never do it because, oh, well, there's the Arab Street, or there's 1,000 reasons why it can't be done. But it turns out that Donald Trump is the enemy of impossibility. And he,
yeah, he's a doer. I mean, there's no question about that. Yeah. And those other matters that he's taken up upon which he campaigned, just like the first go around, he is going to do or like substantively attempt to do exactly what he campaigned on, and he's doing it again. Yes. But geopolitically, we should understand most of these moves to be even peace in Eastern Europe to be China oriented, shouldn't we?
Well, I think that China is the biggest kid in the room, but there are a lot of other kids there too. The EU is important. Russia is important. The conflict between Russia and Ukraine is important. So China is, China is, what is the biggest threat to the United States right now, economically and in terms of, military posture or posturing perhaps? And the answer is obviously China. So yes, that is the biggest focus. It's not the only focus. But people, I've been very amused by how everyone has been transformed into an expert on tariffs over the last few weeks. Donald Trump is not an enemy of free trade. He's an enemy of unfair trade. If another country does not subsidize their goods, it does not put tariffs on U.S. imports, does not erect other kinds of trade barriers, he's all for an open system. What he's trying to do now is to bring back manufacturing, bring back industry to the United States, because over the last several decades we have let an ideology of free trade, which is different, I think, from the practice of free trade in the real world. We've let that ideology triumph over common sense. So, is it a good thing to have your chief international competitor make the majority of your medicines? Probably not. Or is it a good thing to have your chief international competitor be the main source of lots of mission-critical raw materials? Probably that's not a good idea. And then there's this larger point that Ross Perot, if people remember Ross Perot, when he was campaigning, and and Bill Clinton was the architect, or one of the architects of NAFTA, this North Atlantic Free Trade Agreement. The promise was that this was going to increase GDP in the United States and increase jobs. Well, it did the former. It definitely did the former. It did not do the latter. It was one of the reasons, this is one of the reasons that Trump wanted to get rid of it. It was a recipe for shipping manufacturing out of the United States, and the result of that was the collapse of all of the industries in all these cities. There's a pop song by I think the group is called the Pretenders, called "My City Is Gone" or something. It's about Akron, Ohio, and the sentiment of the song is, the lead singer says, I go back to my city and everything is gone. It's the train station's gone. Well, she doesn't use the word industry, but the vibrancy of this town has been destroyed by this ideology of free trade. So an economy is more than the numbers of that figure into an economic calculus. It's based on an economy really has to embrace the people who live in a place. And
great Christy Hines impersonation, by the way. I do have to say, very good.
that's the singer, is it? Yeah, okay. I know the song, but I'm not really intimately familiar with it, with that group.
Yes.
But I mean, so I think that's what that song's about. But so I think that now is what Trump's doing a good thing? It's definitely risky. There's no doubt about it. But when I see that Paul Krugman is going on and on about how stupid Donald Trump is, but because of these tariffs and so on. But I don't know. But we'll see. The United States is said to be a young, dynamic, innovative, risk-taking, experiment-making country. So let's try this. Clearly, what had been in place was not working. We have a $37 trillion debt, and we're adding to that by the tune of something like $2 trillion a year. That is unsustainable. And then there's the immigration issue, lots of bad things, and Donald Trump is trying to reverse them. And frankly, I would put more trust in what he's doing than what a pundit for the New York Times tells us to believe.
Roger Kimball, editor of the New Criterion, that's who we're speaking with. Why do you think Trump didn't tackle tariffs his first term in office? Why did he wait till now?
Well, I think he did do some, but remember when Trump came in 2017, he was really a neophyte. He had no idea what he was stepping into. He was he was surrounded by people who were dubious loyalty to him, to his agenda. From before he took office, the establishment was attempting to hamstring him, to make it impossible for him to do what he had promised to do. It's amazing he got done what he did do, but the forces arrayed against him were formidable and unremitting. It was a tsunami of opposition. Everything from the Russia collusion hoax to then after his term, this multiple wall of lawfare. These 100 indictments in 4 different jurisdictions, completely fabricated. And what's amazing is that he's not only survived, but he thrived on it. And I'm extremely impressed by his team. I mean, people like Scott Bessent, Marco Rubio has far exceeded my expectations. I mean, he's got an incredible team. Now, that's not to say that he will. I'm sure he will do things that people will disagree with. But if you get 80 or 90% of what you want, that's pretty good. And so far, I think he's off to a great start.
It's interesting that the comment he made this week, just talking about those Rust Belt towns that were company towns and were decimated when big manufacturers pulled out. It was interesting that Trump said he did not want U.S. steel to be sold to Nippon Steel, Japanese company.
Yes.
Because, number one, he wants more foreign direct investment. He's touting that at the same time he's talking about tariffs. Number two, both the International Steelworkers Union and the locals are on board with this because U.S. Steel has said, we're not investing $1 billion in this 86-year-old facility in Pennsylvania, so it's going to go if somebody doesn't come in and make the commitment that Nippon Steel has made to, I think it's up to $7 billion now, according to Celino Zito, to essentially retrofit that plant so that it is functional in a 21st economy. So that's the kind of stuff that's a little baffling to me. I mean, it seems like there's a little bit of press release politics as opposed to what is sensible, because he doesn't want to be seen.
What's baffling?
that his decision to, or his comment that he doesn't want U.S. Steel sold to Nippon Steel because. Right. I mean, but it seems like this is bad timing because it looks like a foreign company, a Japanese company, coming in and taking U.S. Steel, and we want to be an autarky or something like this. But it doesn't make any sense.
Well, here you have an industry whose infrastructure is outdated, dilapidated, and would need massive investment to, as you say, compete in the 21st century. No doubt about that. Donald Trump wants to bring stuff like that back to the United States. How is it going to happen? Well, we'll see. So this is one instance. So would it be better to sell it to Nippon Steel? I really don't know. I don't have an opinion about that. I suspect that Donald Trump will find a way to keep it in this country, but that's one instance out of hundreds. What impresses me is the speed and the depth of what his administration is doing. It's like a blitzkrieg. Every day brings some new initiative. I think it's pretty exciting. Now, again, not everything is going to work. Not everything's going to work. But what does it tell us that a couple of days ago the stock market went up by 3,000 points? Well, I think it says. I mean, what Trump is. Bill Ackman, the investor, said a week or so. Well, maybe just a few days ago, when the market was reeling from these multiple day losses, he said, I bet Trump is going. He will make tweaks. He'll respond to the situation, and that's exactly what he did. I'm not happy about what's happened to my portfolio, but I think we have to give it a little time. It's early days yet. I mean, I think you said it was 80 days? Is that where we are?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, no, I concur. There's no panic. It's just, and we understand the sort of the Trump playbook, big splash, big reaction, and then, sort of pragmatically address the market feedback to make those tweaks that you were mentioning. And that's sort of how he operates. We've seen this enough times to sort of understand the approach, I think.
Well, and also Trump's, his procedure seems to be to ask for the moon and, settle for something less than that.
Right.
He's a very aggressive negotiator. So, he'll ask for whatever he thinks he can get or ask for more than he thinks he can get. And then, settle for something that's, less than everything, but more than nothing. And
that's what the left usually does to the right. They way overshoot, knowing that look, even if we get the proverbial half a loaf and not the whole loaf, I mean, we're going to be well ahead of the game. And Trump is sort of using that approach against them, which is actually enjoyable to see. Roger.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Roger. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that I think, what people should bear in mind about Trump is the breadth of his coalition. I mean, this is not some right-wing takeover. I mean, many people in his administration are Democrats or former Democrats. It's ideologically very broad-based, from people like Tulsi Gabbard and RFK and Elon Musk, for that matter, to people like Scott Bessent and Howard Lutnick. It's and Marco Rubio. It's a very broad-based coalition, which I think is responsive to a wide swath of the American public. Whereas the other side, what do they have? They have people, firebombing Tesla dealerships and things like that. It's really, it's pretty pathetic.
Roger Kimball, editor of the new Criterion. Roger, thank you as always.
My pleasure.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
While Dennis Prager is recuperating, we know you miss your daily dose of Dennis. That's why Pragertopia is giving you a special gift. Right now, Pragertopia members can hear the best 2 hours of Dennis's favorite segments from as far back as 2010. On Monday, you can hear the Happiness Hour.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's what I'm about.
Tuesday is Celebrity Guest Day.
Donald Trump Jr. is in studio with me.
On Wednesday, it's the Male-Female Hour.
I really do wish there were a way to ascertain the number of marriages that this hour has helped.
Thursday, the Ultimate Issues Hour.
Not having ultimate issues clarity is like having a map, but you don't know where you're going.
And Friday is Open Lines.
Feel free to ask me anything about me, about you, about life.
So if you're missing your daily dose of Dennis, go to Pragertopia.com and hear all your favorite segments, along with lectures, celebrity interviews, his famous Torah teachings, and more. Get your daily dose of Dennis at Pragertopia.com. Pragertopia.com.
Reliability isn't optional when business security is on the line. It's essential. Businesses trust alarm detection systems for the highest level of service and expertise. Think about the time you could save using one source for cameras, keycard access, fire and intrusion systems. ADS offers expert alarm installation and testing by highly trained technicians, 24/7 professional monitoring, same day or next day service upon request because downtime isn't an option. Dedicated teams for cameras, access control, and fire alarms. More than 300 security professionals working for you. Choosing ADS means your business stays protected and will be ready